Welcome to The Deep Dive. We're the show that takes a whole heap of information, sorts through it all, and basically pulls out the key insights, the stuff you really need to know. And today, oh boy, we're diving into something that I think is going to sound incredibly familiar to a lot of you listening. Picture this, okay? It's late at night. Maya, she's a full-time university student, is just staring at her laptop screen. The only light in the room is coming from that screen and is showing a web page for concert tickets. Her absolute favorite band. She's scrolling, seeing the dates, picturing herself there, finally seeing them live. Her heart's kind of leaping. And then she sees the price, $80, a cool $80. And honestly, to Maya right then, that $80 might as well be $1 million. It just feels completely out of reach. So she lets out this sigh. The weight of it all kind of settles in, closes the tab, and just resigns herself to another weekend of, instant noodles and maybe finding another free streaming trial. Does that sound familiar at all? That feeling, that constant, got a low-level financial squeeze.
Or the things you really want. Maybe it is a concert ticket, or a new textbook you actually need, or even just grabbing pizza with friends. It just clashes, like head-on with a bank account that, let's be honest, often looks pretty bleak, maybe single digits. Maya, like so many students we hear about, feels like she's part of this club. We're kind of playfully calling it the Order of the Empty Pockets. And her frustration, it isn't just about not having fun money, it's deeper. It's this feeling of being stuck. She needs income, she really does. But her class schedule, it's a total mess. Like one day she's got mornings free, the next day it's afternoons, then maybe a block of evening labs. It's all over the place. And she's thinking, no retail manager, no one hiring for a typical part-time job wants to deal with that level of inconsistency. It's just too much hassle for them. So finding a quote-unquote real job, it feels impossible. Like trying to fit a square peg into a very round hole.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is just how incredibly universal Maya's experience is. It's not just students, though it's very common there. It's really anyone who's trying to juggle a fluctuating schedule, maybe other commitments, family, whatever, while also needing or wanting some kind of supplementary income without those rigid, traditional job structures. It really speaks to this core challenge, doesn't it? Balancing your main goals like getting an education or raising kids with that very real, very pressing need for some financial independence, the desire for even just a little bit of breathing room financially, maybe some disposable income, or sometimes, just enough to cover basics so you don't feel completely left out socially. It's a powerful driver. And the problem is the traditional ways of earning money often just don't line up with how people's lives actually work today, which leads to this feeling of being financially stuck, kind of helpless.
Exactly. Totally stuck. And that feeling, that whole dilemma is precisely what we're going to unpack today. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore a really unique and I think quite empowering way of looking at earning money flexibly. Now, it's framed around students like Maya, but honestly, the principles, they apply to anyone. Anyone out there who's felt that financial squeeze, anyone frustrated because traditional work just doesn't fit their life.
That's absolutely right. And this is important. We're not just talking about finding a job or even, a side gig here and there. It's about something more fundamental. It's a shift in mindset. It's really about empowering the individual, giving you back some agency, some control over how and when you earn money. Control that traditional employment, frankly, often doesn't offer. We're going to look at how you move from feeling like this passive person just hoping someone hires you to becoming an active creator of your own income streams.
And who introduces Maya to this big shift? Well, it's her older brother, Daniel. He's home from his own university for the weekend, pops his head into Maya's room, and he immediately recognizes that look on her face. The I'm too broke to have a social life face. But instead of just offering sympathy like, that sucks, he kind of smirks, gives her this knowing look, and says something pretty interesting. He tells her, Maya, you're thinking like a peasant looking for a lord to serve, which is blunt. He says, you need to stop looking for a job and start thinking like a mercenary. You need to join the side hustle guild.
A mercenary. I love that framing. And this mercenary mindset, as Daniel calls it, it's absolutely the key concept here. What it means really is moving away from that old idea of needing one single master, one employer who dictates everything. Instead, you become more like a freelancer, a specialist. You operate like like Daniel says, a rogue who takes on quests that fit your schedule and your skills. Yeah. You're not seeking that permanent fixed employment with all the baggage that comes with it. No, you're looking for specific, defined, project-based opportunities, these quests that actually align with your availability and, crucially, your unique strengths. It's about being nimble, adaptable, responding to what the market needs, but doing it on your own terms.
That's the absolute heart of it, isn't it? Being your own boss, in a way, quest by quest. So today we're going to explore what Daniel called the Guild's many paths, different ways to operate within this model. And we'll also look at the charter he laid out for Maya, these rules for success. He didn't just talk vaguely about it. The story goes he literally sketched these ideas out for her on a napkin, like some wise old mentor preparing a young adventurer. Okay, so let's really unpack this. Let's get into what it actually means to be a member of the Side Hustle Guild. So let's start by digging a bit deeper into Maya's situation because it really sets the stage. Her Order of the Empty Pockets, not just a funny name. It describes this cycle, this almost like ritual she goes through. She sees something she wants. Maybe it is that concert ticket. Maybe it's a textbook she really needs. Maybe it's just being able to say yes when friends want to grab food. Step 1, check the bank account. Step 2, see those bleak single digits, as the source material put it. Step 3, the sigh, the resignation, and reaching for the instant noodles or scrolling through free movie options again.
It's a cycle that traps so many people, not just students, who are trying to make ends meet or just have a little bit of financial freedom.
And the universality of that, it really strikes a chord because the impact goes way beyond just, not being able to buy things. It often translates into missing out on social connections, which can be huge for well-being. Missing networking opportunities that might be valuable later, or just living with this constant background hum of financial anxiety, which, let's be real, can seriously mess with your focus, your academic performance, your mental health overall. When you're constantly preoccupied with affording the basics or feeling bad because you can't join in, it's hard to fully engage with your studies or other parts of life. It really isn't just about fun money. It touches on dignity, feeling included, and reducing that underlying stress that can really hinder everything else.
And for students like Maya, the real kicker, the really sticky part of this whole thing, is that structural challenge we mentioned, the chaotic class schedule. She nailed it when she said, "My class schedule is a mess. Mornings free one day, afternoons the next, evening labs. It's unpredictable." And this isn't just a minor inconvenience. For traditional part-time jobs, it's a deal breaker, a massive barrier. Think about your average retail store or a restaurant or a coffee shop. They need predictability. They need staff who can commit to regular shifts, usually a minimum number of hours, often nights and weekends. Their whole system is built around stability, not fluidity.
Exactly. From the employer's standpoint, that kind of variability is frankly a logistical nightmare. They need to plan staffing levels, manage labor costs, make sure shifts are covered consistently. It's all about predictability for them. So when a student like Maya comes in, armed with a schedule that looks like a Jackson Pollock painting, changing week by week, it almost always leads to, well, a polite rejection. Or if they do somehow get hired, it leads to immense frustration. Frustration for the student trying to cram work into tiny gaps, and frustration for the manager trying to build a reliable schedule. This fundamental mismatch, the rigid needs of many part-time jobs versus the fluid reality of a student's life, is a huge reason why Maya and so many others end up in that order of the empty pockets. And maybe you, listening, have bumped up against that exact same wall, trying to make a rigid job fit a life that just isn't rigid. It feels impossible.
You've absolutely nailed the core issue there. And that takes us right back to Daniel's big insight for Maya, his aha moment for her. When he tells her she's thinking like a peasant looking for a lord to serve, he's saying that old model, find one boss, one master, and fit into their structure, it's outdated. It's just not working for people in her situation anymore. The traditional job market, especially at the part-time level, often isn't designed to accommodate the flexibility that students and honestly more and more people in the modern workforce actually need.
Which really brings up a critical question, doesn't it? How do we empower people, especially those with these variable schedules or unique life situations, to actually use the strength that they already have within these newer economic models?
Yeah.
Because the models are shifting. We've seen the rise of what people call the gig economy, short-term contracts, freelance work, often connected through online platforms, and the explosion of all sorts of freelance opportunities well before Daniel even came up with his guild metaphor. That was a direct response to this exact need for flexibility. These platforms, these ways of working, they emerged precisely because there was this huge group of people, students, parents, caregivers, retirees, people needing extra income who just couldn't fit into the standard 9 to 5 or even those rigid part-time molds. It represents a really fundamental shift in how work can be structured and paid for, moving away from that fixed employer-employee thing towards something more, transactional, project-based, task-based. It's kind of a decentralized way to earn, and it puts a lot more control back into the hands of the individual worker.
And that's precisely where Daniel's mercenary mindset fits in. It's that core psychological shift. You stop being a passive job seeker, waiting to be chosen, and you become an active quest taker, like you told Maya.
You don't need one master. You need to be a freelancer, a specialist, a rogue who takes on quests that fit your schedule and your skills. That language itself is empowering, isn't it? Rogue, mercenary, quest taker.
It absolutely is, and the psychological shift underneath that language is profound. It's fundamentally about regaining a sense of agency, control over your own work life. Instead of feeling like you have to bend yourself to fit an employer's rigid box, you're the one defining the work. You're choosing the projects that align with what you can do and when you can do it. Just think about the difference in feeling there. On one hand, you're endlessly filling out applications, going to interviews where someone else decides if you measure up to their fixed needs. On the other hand, you're browsing a dynamic marketplace Daniel's Quest board, seeing what tasks are available right now, and you decide which ones to accept based on your schedule, your interest, your skills. It flips the power dynamic. It's incredibly empowering because you're essentially orchestrating your own income, project by project.
And Daniel packages this whole idea up for Maya as the side hustle guild. He frames it as this, like, secret society of students who figured it out, which gives it this cool, almost adventurous vibe, doesn't it? It's not just random jobs. It's a shared approach, a mindset, a community, even to fictional, flexible earners focused on self-reliance.
It's a really effective and accessible metaphor, definitely more engaging than just saying, do gig work. And if we zoom out and connect it to the bigger economic picture, this guild really represents a kind of microeconomy, one built entirely on individual skills and super flexible engagement. And, it's not just for students. This whole concept aligns perfectly with these broader trends we're seeing everywhere. Things like portfolio careers, where people intentionally build multiple income streams from different projects or clients. Or the idea of being a multi-hyphenate, someone who combines several professional skills or identities. Think like writer/consultant/speaker. So the guild isn't some isolated student thing. It's actually a small-scale example of this much larger shift towards independent work, towards skill-based earning, and towards greater personal control over your career path. It's like being the CEO of You Inc. on a quest-by-quest basis.
Okay, so you've embraced the mercenary mindset. You get the guild philosophy. What's next? Well, according to Daniel's napkin sketch, the next crucial step is finding your guild class. He drew these 4 distinct symbols explaining that, look, not all side hustles are a good fit for everyone. You got to figure out which path is yours, which one really clicks with your actual strengths, what you have available, and frankly, what you might actually enjoy doing.
And this step really underscores just how important self-assessment is in this whole process. It's critical. Before you just randomly jump onto a platform or start offering a service, you need to pause. You need to really think critically. What are my inherent strengths? What knowledge do I already have? What skills? What do I genuinely find interesting or engaging? Because this isn't just about what you could technically do for money. It's about finding work that feels, well, less like a soul-crushing chore and more like a natural extension of who you are. That's what makes it sustainable. That's what keeps you motivated. You need to find that sweet spot where your unique talents meet actual market demand. That intersection leads to both the cash and some personal satisfaction.
Right. Mercenary mindset engaged. Let's dive into these 4 paths Daniel sketched out within the Side Hustle Guild. Think of these as, like, archetypes, ways to categorize the different approaches to flexible earning, helping you figure out where your own skills might fit best. Okay, path number 1. Daniel tapped the symbol. It looked like a brain, but with a lightning bolt coming out of it. He called this the path of the scholar. This, he said, is for those whose greatest weapon is their mind, which, if you think about it, is perfect for students, right? Their whole life is about using their brain.
It really is. This path is fundamentally about monetizing the knowledge you're actively acquiring or skills you already possess from your studies. The quests here usually involve sharing that expertise in some way. So, common examples. Obvious one is online tutoring. Maybe you're great at high school math or college chemistry, or you can help someone nail their English essays. Another one, being a language conversation partner. If English is your native language, you can help international students practice. It's a valuable skill. Or something super practical on campus, editing essays, proofreading papers for classmates, maybe even helping younger students structure their arguments. And the real insight here, it's not just knowing the subject, it's being able to explain it clearly, breaking down complex ideas so others can grasp them. That's the skill that gets you good reviews and repeat clients, which is absolutely crucial in the freelance world.
And the tools you need for the scholar path. Pretty straightforward, actually. Daniel listed a good internet connection, obviously, a reasonably quiet place to work, maybe a decent webcam and microphone if you're doing video calls. Patience is probably key, too. And, of course, you actually have to know your subject well. As for finding quests, he mentioned platforms like Chegg Tutors or TutorMeetle. These act like digital quest boards, connecting tutors and students. But he also said, don't forget the low-tech options, posting flyers around campus, using university message boards, just leveraging your existing network. Let people know you're available. Okay, but here's where the scholar path gets really appealing. The reward. Daniel pointed out that the hourly rates can be surprisingly high, often in the $20 to $50 per hour range, maybe even more for really specialized subjects or higher-level tutoring. For a student budget, that's significant money. Plus, you get almost total control over your schedule. You decide when you're available. But then there's this awesome kind of unexpected bonus he mentioned. When you're teaching or explaining something to someone else, it forces you to understand it even better. You have to master it to explain it simply. So you earn good money, and you actually reinforce your own learning, potentially improving your own grades. It's like getting paid to study, almost. A true win-win.
It really is an incredibly efficient use of a student's existing mental resources. It directly links academic effort to financial reward. And that positive feedback loop teaching solidifies understanding, which helps academically, which makes you a better tutor. It's powerful for both growth and income. A potential pitfall, though, taking on too much. Trying to tutor too many subjects or too many students can lead straight to burnout. So the insight here is maybe specialize. Find your niche where you're strongest, maybe even develop a unique teaching approach. Become the go-to person for that specific thing. You can really be an expert, even while you're still learning yourself.
Okay, next up. Daniel drew a hand holding a paintbrush. This, he said, represents the path of the artisan. He described this as the path for the creators. So think writers, artists, graphic designers, coders, video editors, basically anyone with a tangible creative or technical skill that other people or businesses might actually pay for. And he stressed, you don't need to be a seasoned professional yet. You just need to have the skill and be able to show some examples, even just a few good ones.
Exactly. This path is all about recognizing that practical, creative, and technical skills have real market value. There's huge demand out there. Think about small businesses, campus clubs, online entrepreneurs. They all need this kind of stuff. So the quests for an artisan, they can be incredibly varied. You might be designing a logo or some social media graphics for a student organization. Great portfolio piece right there. Or maybe writing blog posts or website copy for a local shop that needs content but can't afford a full-time marketing person. You could manage social media accounts. Lots of small businesses need help with that. Or creating short video clips, intros, outros, maybe even editing podcast audio for someone starting out. These might seem like small gigs, but each one builds real-world experience, sharpens your skills, and adds a tangible piece to your portfolio that shows what you can do. And a key insight for new artisans, don't just be a generalist. Try to find a niche. Maybe you specialize in writing for tech startups or designing for wellness brands. Specializing often means less competition and potentially higher rates.
And the tools for the artisan. Well, number one is your specific skill itself. Writing, design, coding, video, whatever it is. And then you need a place to showcase it and find clients. Daniel called platforms like Upwork and Fiverr the massive, bustling cities of the artisan world. Because that's where you find thousands of potential clients posting jobs looking for exactly those skills. So you create a profile, make it look professional, upload your best work examples, your portfolio, and then you start bidding on projects or setting up specific services people can buy. It's really about marketing yourself effectively in that online space. And the reward for the artisan path. This is pretty compelling for creative types. First off, you get paid to do something you probably already love doing anyway. That's huge. Second, and this is massive, you build a real-world, industry-relevant portfolio before you even graduate. That gives you such a head start when looking for internships or full-time jobs later. And third, a lot of this work is digital, which means often you can do it from literally anywhere with an internet connection. Your dorm room, the library, a coffee shop, maybe even in your pajamas. Ultimate flexibility.
This path really is about turning a passion, a hobby, or maybe a skill you've been developing on your own into something that generates income. It validates those abilities, and that portfolio aspect, it cannot be overstated. Having tangible proof of your work, actual designs you created, articles you wrote, code you shipped, is so much more powerful than just listing skills on a resume. Future employers or clients love seeing real results. Of course, a common challenge here is standing out. These platforms can be crowded, so the insight is, focus on quality, communicate really clearly and professionally with clients, and always, always try to get good reviews. Your reputation is everything. This path truly shows how creativity can become capital.
Okay, third path. Daniel's pen drew a different kind of symbol now. A boot, but with wings on it. This, he explained, is the path of the ranger. This is for those who value freedom and flexibility above all else, he told Maya. You like being on the move. You have a car or a bike or even just good walking shoes. He framed it like being a modern-day courier, a master of local logistics, always ready for the next delivery or task.
This path is really defined by being active, being out and about, and crucially, by having almost zero fixed schedule commitments. The quests involve tasks that need you to physically go somewhere or move something. So the obvious examples are things like food delivery DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub, all those apps, or grocery shopping for people through services like Instacart, or even smaller, more varied tasks like running errands, maybe some light assembly or moving help through platforms like TaskRabbit. It's all about being mobile, responsive, and efficient. And for some people, that active work is much more appealing than sitting at a desk. A key insight for maximizing Ranger earnings, understanding peak times and busy locations. Knowing when and where the demand is highest, those surge periods can really boost your hourly pay.
And the tools for a Ranger, super minimal, really. Number one is your smartphone. That's your command center. That's where the quests pop up, where you accept them, navigate, communicate with customers. And then, you need a reliable way to get around. As Daniel said, could be a car, could be a scooter, a moped, could be a bicycle, especially in the city or on campus. Or if you're in a really dense area, maybe just a good pair of legs is enough for walking-based deliveries or tasks. The process is simple. You log into the app whenever you have free time, see what quests are available nearby, and just choose which ones you want to take, completely on demand. And the reward. Instant gratification and maximum flexibility are the big draws here. You work exactly when you want to. Feel like working for an hour between classes? Log on. Got a free evening. Do a few hours. Need the day off. Just don't log on. And often the pay is really fast, same day or within a couple of days, which is fantastic if you need cash quickly for an expense. Daniel called it the ultimate antidote to a chaotic class schedule, precisely because of this total control. No minimum hours, no fixed shifts, just pure freedom to earn when it suits you.
It offers those immediate returns and that unparalleled control over working hours, which, as we've said, is just invaluable for students or anyone with a really unpredictable life. It's great for people who prefer being active, getting some exercise rather than sitting still. And it's highly efficient for turning those small pockets of free time, an hour here, 2 hours there, into actual money without committing to anything long term. The main challenge, though, income can be variable, depends on demand, weather, time of day. And you have to factor in expenses like gas, insurance, vehicle wear and tear if you're using a car. So the insight is, track your expenses diligently. Be strategic about which quests you accept to make sure they're actually profitable after costs.
Okay, one path left. Daniel's final symbol was a bit different. A beaker, like from a science lab, but filled with coins. He called this the path of the alchemist. And his description was intriguing. He said, this pad isn't usually high-paying, but it's pure magic. Why magic? Because it's about transmuting small pockets of dead time into actual money.
The alchemist. This path is all about optimizing those little moments, finding value in time that would otherwise just be wasted. Scrolling social media, waiting for a bus, sitting through commercials. The quests here require very little mental energy or commitment, making them perfect for multitasking or filling tiny gaps. So what are they? Things like taking paid online surveys on sites like SurveyJunkie or Swagbucks, just giving your opinions. Or maybe testing websites and apps for usability. Platforms like user testing pay you to navigate a site or app and just talk through your experience, pointing out confusing parts or bugs. Or completing really small, often repetitive micro-tasks online through platforms like Amazon Mechanical Turk. This could be anything from tagging images to transcribing short audio clips to basic data entry. These tasks are designed to be done in tiny chunks. You can pick one up, do it in 5 minutes, and then put it down again.
And the tools needed for the alchemist? Barely anything. Basically just a laptop or even just your phone and an internet connection. That's it. Daniel specifically said, it's the stuff you do while watching Netflix, sitting on the bus, or waiting for your next class to start. It's designed to be almost background earning, fitting into those otherwise unproductive moments without requiring deep focus or dedicated time blocks. You're literally turning minutes you'd otherwise waste into small amounts of cash. Now, the reward. Daniel was clear. This path won't pay your rent. Don't expect that. But, he said, it is your coffee money, your pizza fund, your concert ticket cash. It's about consistently turning that wasted time, those little 5 or 10 minute gaps, into a small but steady trickle of income. Those little amounts, they add up. They can give you that bit of financial breathing room for life's small pleasures without demanding much effort or taking time away from studies.
It's a really smart strategy for incremental income. And it also helps cultivate this mindset of seeing value in all your time. It perfectly leverages those small, often ignored fragments of a student's day. It's not meant to be a primary income source, obviously, but as a supplement. For covering those little extras, funding a hobby, building a tiny emergency fund, it's surprisingly effective. It directly tackles that order of the empty pockets problem for small-scale wants without needing big-time commitments or special skills. The key insight here: probably consistency and diversification. Use a few different Alchemist platforms, spend just 15-20 minutes a day on them consistently, and you might be surprised how those small earnings accumulate over a month.
Okay, so Daniel lays out all 4 paths: scholar, artisan, ranger, alchemist on this napkin for Maya. And she's just staring at it, her mind kind of racing, processing it all. She thinks, okay, well, I'm not a great visual artist, so maybe artisan isn't quite right in that sense. And I don't have a car, so ranger feels tricky right now. But then something clicks. She has this moment of self-realization. She says, wait, I'm a killer writer. Like it suddenly dawns on her that this skill she has, something she genuinely enjoys and is good at, fits perfectly. I always got A's on my essays, she thinks. I actually like structuring arguments and crafting sentences. And just like that, she knew. I think I'm an artisan. But specifically, a writing artisan, a scribe maybe. That was her light bulb moment, finding her path by connecting her actual talent to one of these flexible earning models.
And that moment, Maya's realization, it perfectly highlights the absolute core of this framework, the self-discovery part. The real power isn't just knowing the paths exist, it's figuring out where you fit, aligning your innate skills, your genuine interests, even your personality with the opportunities out there. It's not about trying to force yourself into a hustle that feels wrong or that you hate. It's about identifying that intersection point where what you're naturally good at meets a real need someone is willing to pay for. So the question for you listening is, what does this mean for you? It means it's time for a little honest inventory. What are your skills, your hobbies, your passions? What resources do you have? Which of these archetypes, scholar, artisan, ranger, alchemist, resonates most with your personal toolkit?
Right. And once Maya identified her path to the artisan, focused on writing Karun, Daniel didn't just say, okay, good luck, and walk away. Nope. He flipped the napkin over, and on the back he sketched out what he called the guild charter, your first quest. And he was serious about this part. These weren't just like casual suggestions. He presented them as critical rules, guidelines she needed to follow for her first quest to be successful and to build a sustainable side hustle habit. This charter is what turns the whole cool idea into something practical and actionable.
Absolutely. This charter acts as that essential strategic framework. It translates the abstract concepts, mercenary mindset, finding your path into concrete, manageable steps. It provides the necessary structure, the foresight, the practical tactics needed to actually navigate the freelance or gig world effectively. Because let's face it, it can feel a bit like the Wild West out there sometimes. Without these kinds of guidelines, a new mercenary could easily get overwhelmed by all the choices, or maybe discouraged by one bad experience, or just spin their wheels without actually converting skills into income efficiently. Think of the charter as your map and compass for this new territory.
Okay, rule number 1 on Daniel's charter. Know thy strengths, know thy gear. He told Maya, you got to be brutally honest with yourself here. First, what are you actually good at? Not what you wish you're good at, but what are your real talents? And just as important, what do you genuinely enjoy doing? Because forcing yourself sucks the life out of it. Then inventory your gear. What tools do you realistically have access to right now? A reliable car, a fast laptop, specific software, artistic supplies, maybe just great people skills. It's a full self-assessment before you even look at specific quests.
This rule is foundationally important. It speaks directly to sustainability and, frankly, enjoyment. And those are key if you want this to last beyond 1 or 2 attempts. Because aligning your chosen path with your natural abilities and interests, that's the difference between a side hustle that feels kind of fun and energizing and one that feels like a miserable, soul-draining chore you abandon after a week. If you pick something you actively dislike or something you're just not very good at, you're setting yourself up for frustration and burnout. It just won't stick. But if you leverage something you're already skilled in, something you find inherently engaging, it becomes much easier, more effective, and, yes, more enjoyable. So before jumping in, really pause. Take stock. What are your talents? What resources, time, tech, transportation do you have? What's your personality like? What are your energy levels? Don't just chase the gig that seems to pay the most if it's a terrible fit for you. That's a common mistake.
Okay, rule number 2 from the charter. Forge your profile, your digital first impression. Daniel apparently called the profile you create on platforms like Upwork or Fiverr your hero's avatar. I like that. His point was, this profile isn't just some throwaway thing you fill out quickly. It's your digital storefront. It's your online resume. It's your virtual handshake. It matters a lot. And he gave Maya specific tips. Use a clear photo. Friendly but professional looking. Not like a party selfie. Let a short, sharp bio. Get straight to the point. Highlight your key skills. What makes you a good choice? What's your unique selling point? And for artisans like her, crucial. Have a simple portfolio ready. Even just 3 really strong writing samples or 3 great design examples. Curated to show your best work.
This rule taps right into the psychology of how people make decisions online, especially when hiring someone they've never met. Your profile is often the very first thing a potential client sees. It's the primary way, sometimes their only way to gauge if you're credible, competent, and trustworthy. So, a well-put-together profile, it's like dressing well for an important interview. It signals professionalism, seriousness, attention to detail. It immediately builds confidence in the client's mind. They think, okay, this person seems reliable, they seem capable. And that's essential when they can't meet you face-to-face. For scholars, maybe a glowing testimonial from a student you helped is gold. For artisans, that portfolio link is non-negotiable. Don't just slap something together. Invest a little time to make your profile shine. It pays off.
Moving along, charter rule number 3. Start with a side quest, not the dragon. Daniel was apparently very firm on this one with Maya. He said something like, look, don't go quitting your studies tomorrow to become a full-time DoorDasher. Slow down. The core idea here is caution. Manage your expectations and build momentum gradually. So the advice is, take on one small manageable quest first. Just one. Why? To learn the ropes of the platform. Understand how payments work, how communication happens. Get that crucial first 5-star review under your belt. And honestly, just to prove to yourself that you can actually do it, that this whole thing works for you. And he gave those really concrete, low-stakes examples, like just deliver 1 meal for DoorDash, or complete 1 30-minute tutoring session. Or for Maya, write 1 short, maybe 500-word blog post for a small fee, say $25. Or just complete a few online surveys to see how the alchemist path feels. These are easy entry points, low risk, that let you test the waters, figure out the mechanics, and get that initial win, that boost of confidence, without feeling overwhelmed or jeopardizing your main commitments like school.
This rule touches on such an important psychological point about managing expectations and building capacity step by step. Small wins are incredibly powerful motivators. They build confidence, keep you engaged, especially when you're trying something completely new. If you try to tackle some huge, complex project right out of the gate, it's easy to get frustrated, feel overwhelmed, maybe even feel like a failure if it doesn't go perfectly. But by starting small, you accomplish something tangible. You learn from any minor hiccups in a low-pressure situation. You build that belief in yourself, hey, I can do this, which then fuels you to take on slightly bigger, more rewarding quests next time. It's about easing yourself into it, managing the learning curve, and preventing burnout before you even really get going.
Okay, rule number 4. This one's about thinking a bit longer term, building resilience. Embrace the power of diversification. Daniel's advice here was clear. The wisest guild members, he said, walk more than one path. So it's not necessarily about picking one path, scholar, artisan, ranger, alchemist, and sticking to only that forever. Or even just one platform within a path. He gave an example. Maybe someone primarily identifies as an artisan, writing articles during the week from their dorm room. But then maybe it's a beautiful Saturday afternoon, they have a few free hours, nothing else planned. They might switch gears, fire up the DoorDash app, and become a ranger for a couple of hours to make some quick cash.
This is such a crucial role for building what you might call a more robust, more resilient personal economy, especially in the gig world, which can sometimes be unpredictable. If we connect this back to the bigger picture, diversification for someone in the guild means you're not putting all your eggs in one basket. You significantly reduce your reliance on any single income stream that provides much greater stability and security. What if demand for writing drops 1 month, or a platform changes its algorithm? If you have another path active, you're cushioned. It also lets you strategically leverage different types of time or energy levels you might have. Maybe you have the focus for deep creative work, artisan in the mornings, but by the afternoon you'd rather do something active, ranger, or low effort, alchemist. By diversifying across paths, or even just across different platforms within a path, you build a more adaptable, more crisis-resistant earning strategy. It's like building an investment portfolio, but for your time and skills.
And finally, the 5th rule. This one's super practical, almost like a non-negotiable ground rule for the guild charter. Track your loot and your time. Daniel told Maya she needed to get organized. Use a simple app or a spreadsheet, even just a dedicated notebook. And meticulously track 2 things. how many hours you're actually working on each type of quest, and crucially, how much money you're making from it. Why? It's basic financial literacy, really. It helps you figure out your real, effective hourly rate for different tasks, which quests are actually worth your precious time and energy. And then he added what he called the Guild's Prime Directive. The one rule you absolutely cannot break. School comes first. This is a side hustle, not your main quest.
This final rule just reinforces that critical balancing act. For students especially, but really for anyone integrating side hustles, the primary goal, education, family, main job, has to remain the priority. Tracking your time and earnings isn't just about knowing your numbers, though that financial literacy is vital. It's also about setting boundaries. It helps prevent the side hustle from creeping in and consuming too much time, too much energy, potentially compromising your studies, your health, your relationships. It keeps the side in side hustle, ensuring it remains supplementary, flexible, fitting around your main life priorities, not taking them over. It's really about disciplined self-management, being strategic with your most valuable, non-renewable resources, your time and your energy.
So let's bring it back to Maya. After Daniel walks her through the 4 paths, helps her identify as an artisan, and lays out this 5-point guild charter, she looks back at that concert ticket page on her laptop. But this time it's different. She's not looking at it with despair anymore. She's looking at it with this newfound sense of clarity, maybe even determination, and that $80 price tag that once felt like $1 million. It's no longer this insurmountable wall symbolizing her empty pockets. Now, it's a quest objective. And she immediately starts doing the math in her head. Okay, $80, that's maybe 4 short articles at $20 each, or maybe a few hours editing essays for some freshman down the hall. Suddenly, the concert isn't some impossible dream anymore. It's an achievable loot. It's something she can earn. She realized she had the power, the skills, the potential. She just needed the framework, the mindset shift. In that moment, she wasn't just a passive member of the Order of the Empty Pockets anymore. She was Maya, the scribe, a member of the Artisans Guild, and she had work to do. Quest to conquer.
And Maya's transformation, that shift in perspective, that's really the core takeaway from this whole deep dive, isn't it? It's a powerful illustration of how this side hustle guild framework can be so effective. It offers this clear, practical, actionable path. For students, yes, but really for anyone needing flexible income. It helps you navigate those financial needs with real agility. How? By getting you to strategically leverage the unique skills you already possess. It all comes down to identifying your guild class. Are you primarily a scholar, an artisan, a ranger, an alchemist, or maybe a mix? And then diligently following those practical guidelines from the guild charter to ensure you're doing it sustainably and effectively. It really empowers you to stop seeing obstacles and start seeing opportunities, quests waiting to be taken.
So as we wrap up this deep dive today, here's something to think about, a final provocative thought for you personally. We focus a lot on Maya, the student, and her journey into this side hustle guild concept. But the principles Daniel laid out, they really are universal. Leveraging your specific skills, managing your time strategically, diversifying your income streams for stability, even finding ways to turn what you currently think of as dead time into productive income. These aren't just strategies for broke students. These are foundational principles for building financial resilience, flexibility, and maybe even more personal satisfaction in today's economy for almost anyone. So the question I want to leave you with is this: what skill, what talent, what resource do you possess right now that you haven't yet considered as potential loot in your own life? What small side quest could you maybe take on this week just to test the waters, to begin your own journey into the guild? Whatever that looks like for you.
That's exactly the right question to ask. We really encourage you, listening, to think beyond just the traditional job application mindset. Consider how you might apply these principles: self-assessment, skill leverage, flexibility, diversification, time optimization to gain a little more financial breathing room, maybe more autonomy, maybe more satisfaction in your own life. It doesn't matter what your current stage or circumstances are, whether you're a student, a parent, working full-time but needing extra, retired. The power lies in recognizing your unique value and then finding strategic, flexible ways to apply that value in the marketplace on your own terms. It's really about shifting how you see your time and skills, not as fixed things you trade for a wage, but as dynamic assets you can deploy creatively to achieve your goals. Quests await.